Harbor Freeway through South LA. This started in Southgate, or this is a possible carjacking suspect here being pursued by the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. LAPD may be on this as well now that this pursuit now is in the city of Los Angeles. That's Century Boulevard, a busy stretch of Century Boulevard westbound through South LA, approaching Inglewood and then LAX. Traffic light to moderate here. The driver, there it is, that silver car there, hasn't been going too quickly and has been abiding by most of the traffic laws here, stopping at the light here and making his way through the intersection. That might be a red light there. Yes, it is. Crossing Vermont there. So westbound on Century Boulevard, crossing Vermont through South LA, a very busy stretch of Century Boulevard. And we'll widen out. We can show you the units. Again, the LA County Sheriff's Department, they were the first agency to start pursuing this alleged carjacking suspect here. So Century Boulevard west. Now, we're going to get into some issues with LAX because this is the final approach for LAX as you approach the Forum and what will be the new home to the Rams and Chargers. The westbound side of Century Boulevard still. He's been going through red lights, but he's stopping, making sure that both sides of traffic are clear for the most part. And this is a relatively slow speed pursuit, and he's not really going over the speed limits.
This is a really slow speed pursuit. This guy's going under the speed limit. Yeah.
Right. 35, 40 miles an hour, perhaps, on the westbound side of Century Boulevard here. And we're going to put on our extender here on the lens so we can get a better shot of it. Looks like one of those kind of boxy Scions or four-door car here, silverish gray, again, being pursued by the Sheriff's Department. And he's just making his way through the intersection now at Normandy, and he will be heading into Inglewood next and over towards LAX. And that's why we're shooting this from a distance, because of the traffic. The runways 25 left and right at LAX. This is the final approach, so we have to give those airliners plenty of room here. Unknown if anybody was hurt in the alleged incident, in the carjacking, what the situation is. You can see some people checking it out on the side there, as we always do. Remember, if you ever see something like this, back off. Don't try to be a hero. Give the officers plenty of room. And again, we see this time and time again, and people ask, why do they run? Because they can, and sometimes they get away. In fact, in the city of Los Angeles, on average, 18% of those being pursued are able to evade police, many on motorcycles. Some of those, however, though, Steve and Lisa, are situations where the police, law enforcement decides to pull off because of the danger to the public. Los Angeles leads the state in injuries, in fact, leads the nation in injuries to innocent people because of pursuits.
Just a couple of weeks ago, I believe, right? Just a couple of weeks ago, we had a fatality after a pursuit.
And there's been a wholesale rethinking of this process, and you're talking about the fact that they're pulling off of these things much more frequently than in the past. I'm sorry, Rick, this is uniquely well-mannered.
Mm-hmm. It certainly is. It almost looks like some sort of procession, right? That's what when I first saw it. You could see 35 miles an hour tops, maybe 30, 25 at times, just making his way. The suspect, we believe it's a male suspect. Unclear if anybody else is in the automobile or if it's just being driven by the one alleged carjacking suspect.
You know, Rick, as you're saying, this is it is a slow speed chase, and it's much safer that way. There have been a couple of bills introduced, one called Christie's Law, after a girl in Chino was killed because of a high-speed police pursuit. Because the police were pursuing a suspect, that suspect T-boned her family car, and she died instantly. And it's been defeated both times. The bill was to remove some of the immunity police agencies in the state receive when pursuing suspects in a high-speed chase. But the police organizations, the unions, and back at the time it was Chief Bratton, were going to have none of it. They believe that there is a place for police pursuits and that the risk is greater than the harm.
Yeah, I've read about that as well, Lisa, and covering so many of these up here over the years. I've seen some tragic ones, and a lot that are conducted in a way that they are brought to an end safely. There's only so much they can do in certain situations, especially when it's high speeds through residential areas. This one being a slow speed chase down Century Boulevard and now approaching LAX, passing the new stadium that will be the future home to the Rams and the Chargers by the Forum here. A construction zone here, which would, in a situation, if this was a higher speed pursuit, cause some issues as well. But single file here, single lane on westbound Century Boulevard approaching LAX now through the community of Inglewood. He's just not yielding.
Construction, you think? I'm just curious. I'm looking at all this road construction, and everywhere I look, there seems to be metro construction going on.
That part of it is metro, the extension around LAX. They're extending it so that we can get metro rail service towards LAX here, and a lot of this is revamping of Century Boulevard as well. But single file, again, just one lane open here through Inglewood, still westbound on Century Boulevard, and it looks like he's going to continue westbound all the way to LAX. So I think what we will do is we're going to take sort of a southward approach and follow the 105 so we can perhaps intercept this guy over towards the 405 freeway if he chooses to get on.
What are your restrictions?
Freeway.
What are your restrictions right now?
Right now, if you can envision coming into LAX, which both of you have many a times, and you come over the Forum, Old Hollywood Park, the south runways on the complex, 25 left and 25 right, that's where you descend. You get down to 3,000, 2,000, 1,000, and then touch down just past Aviation Boulevard and the 405. And essentially, Century Boulevard is the line of that air traffic. So we can't be in the way. We cannot be in the way of those jetliners. So we're in touch with ATC, Air Traffic Control, at the LAX Tower, and they tell us a window, an area, so to speak, that we can. So we're sort of wrapping around the south side of that restricted area, down the 105 freeway here, so that we can connect with the 105 and the 405 and shoot him from the south towards the north as he continues to make his way westbound down Century Boulevard. Century Boulevard essentially ends and begins, as you both know, right at LAX, and that's the direction that he's moving through the community of Inglewood right now. No word of any accidents or anything or anybody injured at this time, but still a dangerous situation, especially if it was a carjacking. He could have a weapon. What
they don't want him to do is get to the freeway. So I'm wondering if, since it is so slow, if police are considering blocking him, going into an intersection and just blocking him before he can get to a freeway.
That's certainly a possibility. That is one tactic. You see the pit maneuvers where they spin them out, they disable them, laying down the spike strips, which isn't a situation that can be used that often unless it's on an open freeway and they know that suspect is traveling in that direction. There it is. You see it. We still got a decent shot. There's the Hollywood Park Casino, which has been torn down here in the construction area for the new stadium. He continues westbound, a relatively slow speed, driving safely. He has run a couple of stoplights, but he does stop at them and make sure that there's no opposing traffic. We have not heard of any collisions that have resulted from this pursuit, which started, we believe, in the Southgate area. And again, it's the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, that agency, that picked this pursuit up first. And again, we're hearing from our assignment desk that this individual, most likely a male, is a carjacking suspect. Whether or not that carjacking took place just a short time ago, this morning, unclear on that. But he continues to make his way westbound, and we still got a good shot. And again, we're shooting this from the south side of LAX now, so we can get a better angle as opposed to looking directly down or westbound. We are looking due west towards LAX down Century Boulevard. And he continues westbound here. Traffic is still moving on both sides, and law enforcement trailing him as well. And because of that air traffic at LAX, in fact, I think we'll get a Southwest plane coming into our view here, 737 that's making a landing on runway 25 left here at LAX. That law enforcement helicopters can't be up either. It's not just us. All helicopters have to stay away because of the safety of these jetliners that are coming into LAX. And we are watching Inglewood now, right on the border of LAX here, Century Boulevard, approaching the 405 freeway. And we'll see what he does. There's an on-ramp here to both the north and southbound sides of the 405 freeway from Century Boulevard. And we'll see if he chooses to get on the freeway. If he continues in a westerly direction, he's going to continue right through the slot there, the LAX slot, that busy stretch of Century Boulevard between the 405 and the LAX complex. Still moving very slowly.
It's going so slowly, of course. We've seen so many of these, and we started asking the same questions. What about a pit maneuver? And Lisa McCree, you have done the pit maneuver.
I went out there and trained with them. We did a story on California Connected, a show I used to do, and did a whole thing on car chases because California's obsessed with our car chases. We go and we stay on them, and you know they know that people are fascinated by them, and sometimes they're slow like this, sometimes they're deadly and dangerous and high speed. So but the pit maneuver is one of those great things. You get right up to the side of that other car and you just hard crank your wheel and get into their wheel hub, and you can spin them out pretty effectively. Most times. This is, when they were going, single file, there was no way to get next to them during that construction zone. But maybe it's not worth the risk. I don't know.
There's a lot of opposing traffic. There's eastbound traffic there that's to be concerned with, and a lot of parked cars. And there's activity. School just started. You can see the school bus there. So there's a lot to take into consideration here. Still westbound on Century Boulevard. By the way, Lisa, I think I did see that piece on PBS that you did. They train for those pit maneuvers up on the north end of the San Fernando Valley. We show that from up here in Skyfox. Those guys, those officers protecting our city are always up there training in adverse conditions. They wet down the roadway. They practice.
That's right. They have simulators. They have all these officers in all of these police agencies, Steve, and particularly LAPD sheriffs. They train with these simulators, so you can be going at incredible speeds and through school zones and near hospitals, and they try to put them in all sorts of real world situations.
Make a real life situation.
Real life, and it's very. I got to tell you, as video games go, I think it'd be a big seller. But they do that, and then of course they do work on the roads, and they practice with the strips. So they have all sorts of tools. I think what they don't want to do is escalate it. So by hanging back, maybe they're hoping that this man, we think it's a man inside, will just eventually get tired and pull over.
Well, it's hard to...
and there's the sign, LAX, and you can see watch that jetliner. See, that's what we're talking about. That's why we can't be right on top of them. We're over the interchange with the 405 and the 105 freeway. There's the 405, and he's continuing westbound towards LAX now. And this is a very busy stretch of Century. You know it if you take that off-ramp, that Century Boulevard off-ramp from the 405 to enter the complex. So he's going to be encountering a lot of traffic here. All those stoplights backing up.
A lot of hotels as well along there.
That's right.
I just wonder, Rick, I'm looking at this. We've been through hundreds of these at this point. This is the most well-mannered that I recall. He seems almost to be a thoughtful driver.
He's using Waze, I think, to figure out where to go and not go.
Yeah, that's right. And what's in his mind? We always ask that. What is he thinking at this time? Well, he wants to get away. And as I mentioned, some do. Around 18% in the city of Los Angeles do. And as long as he's not in custody and he's free, he feels that he still is empowered. And he's hopeful that he can get away. Whether or not he's talking to somebody right now, trying to get a plan. Sometimes we see these pursuits wind their way back into neighborhoods that they're familiar with so that they feel that they have an easier time evading police. But
or they can jump out of their car, like the suspect did this morning. Jump out of their car. If they get into their own neighborhood, they know that, they know where the houses are, the bushes are, the garages are, that they can, get into.
There are about 3 or 4 things we always say at a pursuit. Oftentimes people go back to what they're familiar with. We say that, and it happens, and oftentimes it doesn't happen. The other is that he's piling up all kinds of citations. He's breaking all kinds of laws.
Question.
And they're keeping a record of every one of these.
And he just ran that red light right there because you could see the green light on the opposite.
Yes.
There's the Metro rail construction there for the extension to get your way into LAX. And maybe he's going to LAX. Maybe he's just, he's acting like nothing's going on behind him, and he's heading to LAX for some reason. Perhaps he thinks he can get lost there. Well, he's finally going to make a right turn or a northbound turn here. So we're going to make a midfield transition through LAX. We're going to make a midfield transition through LAX. I'm communicating with my pilot here so that we can make our way northbound across the complex and then pick it up on the other side. Again, what we do here now, which you'll see, and we show this a lot, Steve and Lisa from up here in Skyfox, we make what we call an LAX transition. We can do it at about 1,500 feet directly center over the airport. So the planes can make their way beneath us. Or we make the shoreline transition where we're just maybe 50, 60 feet off the sand on the edge of the LAX complex here. So he's making his way northbound. I think that's Aviation Boulevard there from Century Boulevard. That will take him back towards Inglewood, perhaps the Fox Hills area. Unclear how much fuel he has at this time. And we'll see. It looks like he's entering into a parking lot now.
How far away, Rick, did you say from where this began, from where the carjacking took place to now? Like, how many miles are we talking about?
Well, first of all, we're unclear for sure if it was a carjacking. That's what we're hearing, and we're unclear if that actually happened in Southgate. Southgate is where we first heard of this pursuit, and that's a good 15 miles from this location now, and it's been going for some time. Now, he is making his way back westbound on this surface street here. This is an area that used to be heavily clogged with homes, that open greenery there. But as the jet age took hold over Southern California, those homes were removed. This is where a lot of the long-term parking is, where you could that satellite location where you can pick up passengers as well. So he's going to make his way back north and passing LAX. So he's going to avoid LAX, and we're going to continue to make our transition in a northward direction here, past the runways of 24 right and 24 left and 25 left and 25 right here at LAX as he makes his way north. Volume light on this street here.
Strange place to decide to circle, right? A strange place for a car chase to take place. I don't know anybody who wants to go toward LAX during rush hour.
Well, we told him to get there early.
He's got a 3 o'clock
Always allow
flight.
yourself an hour and a half for domestic and 2 hours plus for international, right? Well, maybe he thought that he could evade officers in this area because it is so congested. That's a possibility. Again, the mindset of these guys, we don't know. A lot of times they are unstable. There are certain situations where they're under the influence, and they're just trying to get away from police. But he's not doing it in a hurry.
And one of the things we say, no matter what it looks like, police have to treat this as worst-case scenario.
Right.
They have to treat it as if this person has weapons,
That's right.
is ready to do anything drastic. Even though it looks kind of relatively calm for a police pursuit, you got to treat it the other way.
Exactly.
And there is no ordinary routine pursuit. There's no ordinary or routine stop by any means. We saw that tragic situation unfold at the beginning of last week in Whittier, which we lost one of our brave first responders. And that's how they're treating this as well. And if it does turn out that this was a carjacking, and that is a carjacking suspect inside that vehicle there, he very may well be armed, and they are treating it as such. So they've run the plates. They know what where the car is registered to. They have that information. Whether or not they have any more information on that suspect, the LA County Sheriff's Department, again, that's the agency that started this.
Not crazy. Slows down here. Slows down for the oncoming traffic or crossing traffic. How many vehicles are in pursuit now, would you say, Rick?
About a half a dozen. The lead car there, patrol car there, still is LA County Sheriff's. And again, we are in the city of Los Angeles now, this area around LAX and Westchester. He did make a westbound turn. We'll get this street for you in just a moment. We'll tilt up and see the sign there on Manchester Boulevard here. So this is on the north side of LAX. If you come down Lincoln or Sepulveda towards LAX, this is the area of Los Angeles, the Westchester community of Los Angeles, just north of LAX. There's some people out in their backyard checking out the scene.
I'm guessing that the lights are on and the sirens are blazing too.
Oh, no question. Yeah,
so people
absolutely.
are
Code
aware.
3, as we call it. Right. That's right. He's lights and siren. And again, if you ever encounter a situation like this, do not try to box in the suspect. We've seen that happen, and sometimes we've seen it be done successfully by a bystander who just thinks he can help out. Not a wise thing to do, because you don't know what you're dealing with in this situation. You could put yourself and officers and other individuals in danger. Just back off, give them as much space as they need, pull to the right shoulder, and let the officers do what they're trained to do.
Hey, Rick, in most cases, most people driving around here, they have no idea. They don't know what's going on.
You're absolutely
right. They have no idea
you're
what's
right.
going on.
You're right. But the bottom line, just like with anything else, when you see a hook and ladder, a fire engine come up, what do? You slow down and you pull to the right. Obviously do the same exact situation when you see officers. And you can see officers are positioned in this neighborhood, and this is at this intersection, Lincoln and Manchester, and it looks like could be just no, he's going to make his way through that intersection. And he actually has the green on that one because the opposing traffic.
We have a little bit of an update on what happened here.
We do. We did get some confirmation there, Rick, that this did begin as a carjacking in South LA at 68 and Central, if you can picture that, and the sheriff picked it up from there.
Sheriff picked it up, South LA. This has been going on for quite a while at this point. And if you just tuned in at 8:39, this is, I guess we usually say high-speed pursuit. This is a low-speed pursuit that's been going on in this neighborhood right now near LAX, and Rick is on it. Rick?
And heading towards LMU now, westbound on Manchester. Again, Manchester, one of those major east-west thoroughfares that makes its way through the city of Los Angeles from the west side, the coast side, all the way to the east side here. And 68th and Central, that's an unincorporated area of Los Angeles, so that's why the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department picked it up first. We talk about these different agencies and why one agency is leading the pursuit and not the other. If it would have been in the city of Los Angeles, the official city limits, and LAPD would be the lead, but because it was in that unincorporated area adjacent to South Los Angeles, that's why the Sheriff's Department has picked it up. And it continues to pick up at a very slow rate here, Steve and Lisa. Same general scene that we saw when we first picked this pursuit up around the 110 freeway and Century Boulevard. He continues to make his way westbound here.
All right, Rick,
on Manchester.
As we're watching him go, and again, Lisa, we're looking at a really slow ride here. It's almost saying a well-mannered police pursuit. The history of these pursuits, imagine a calmer day 15 years ago, 17 years ago. We wouldn't have known about this pursuit. And then suddenly we had the technology to follow the pursuits, and now pursuits have become almost a mainstay of news coverage, and it raises the question, and I've never gotten a satisfactory answer, does this encourage people to run because they see it on TV, it puts them in their head, or does it discourage them because most of them get caught?
Well, you know, as Rick said, 18%, which is a pretty big number.
It's almost 1 out of 5.
Actually get away. So they may think the numbers are with him. And you know, I have to say, we are very grateful to be watching a slow speed pursuit because they can be deadly, as we just witnessed beginning of last week, and police hanging back so as not to escalate the situation.
Rick, where are we now?
Still on Manchester here, approaching Lincoln, and we're going to widen out a little bit. I'm going to show you again what looks to me like a procession here of these patrol cars behind this guy. And as we widen out and pan just slightly to the right, now a law enforcement helicopter has joined in and is watching. It'll come into frame on the right side there. An LA County Sheriff's helicopter is circling and watching overhead as well. So this is westbound on Manchester, through the community of Westchester on the north side of LAX here, and we're going to be approaching that very busy intersection. And because this pursuit is going so slowly and primarily staying on these major streets, we were Century first, and now we are on Manchester, both significant major east-west thoroughfares through the city of Los Angeles. They are positioning police officers at these intersections to hold traffic so that there won't be any type of collision, even though this guy has been behaving himself quite well. This carjacking suspect, there's Lincoln Boulevard there, as you just confirmed down there in the newsroom. This four-door, this boxy car looks kind of like a Scion. Not sure of the exact make of the car. We'll try to get a better look at it. But tinted windows as well, which is problematic because that means officers don't know what's going on, perhaps in the back seat if there's some other individuals in there, and the visibility inside the automobile there is more difficult for them as well. But the bottom line, this suspect, this carjacking suspect, has been driving at relatively low speeds, behaving through the intersections. He does run the red lights, but he stops. He looks both ways, makes sure there's no opposing traffic. He doesn't want to get in any collision. And his vehicle looks like it's in pretty good shape. It does not look like it was involved in any crashes and any collisions prior to when we first picked this pursuit up.
We have had very few, almost no close calls here. Usually at this point...
We really haven't.
Yeah,
no.
Usually we've seen a lot by now.
Well, again, if you've ever been in your car, I have a couple of times, actually, when you hear all those sirens coming at you, you know, your instinct, at least if you took the DMV test and passed, is to pull over to the right and hang tight. And I think that we're noticing a lot of traffic is sort of stopped, slowed.
And the slow speed is helping that out.
Absolutely.
It's not somebody flying by, which can be very disorienting if you're driving, and kind of scary as well. Estimate the speed for us right now, Rick.
35, 30 miles an hour. He's going below the speed limit at times, actually. And he's going to make his way all the way to the coast towards Playa del Rey, towards the shoreline. If he continues here on Manchester, this is a nice enclave of the city of Los Angeles. Our city extends from the coast here, inland, beyond downtown LA, northward to the San Fernando Valley, up towards Chatsworth and south, through the Harbor Gateway down towards San Pedro. And this is the portion of LAX which actually touches the ocean. Not a lot of the city of Los Angeles actually does. A lot of people believe it's situated right on the coast, but it's the beach cities that have their city limits within the coast. But this area actually does, just south of Marina del Rey, the channel there, the entrance to the harbor area here. And this is an area of Playa del Rey here, Westchester, on Manchester, and he's continuing westbound You see the greenery there in the middle. Eastbound traffic is still moving. People are stopping and pulling to the right if need be. And he went through another intersection there. He had the green light there at Fairmouth.
You know, people always ask, what is it with you and, LA people and your love for slow speed, high speed, whatever kind of speed chases? It's the ratings.
We ask that.
Well, we do, but, I recall looking at the numbers, and people watch them for whatever reason, and it may be because they're waiting for that unexpected thing to happen, or maybe it's because it's in their neighborhood, or whatever it is.
Absolutely.
There is a morbid curiosity about it.
Well, there is.
No question.
It's live television, and you don't know the end.
That's right.
It's like the key to sports coverage, etc. That's part of it. But I will tell you, this has spread across the country. So if you're in other markets that never covered pursuits, they cover them now.
They do.
Now they are, and we'll cover them sometimes from other cities. All right, this is the intersection of Pershing. Let's see what he does. Making a left turn, a southbound turn. So what we're going to do now is we're going to drop down and make a shoreline approach through LAX to try to stay with this, because, again, he's heading back towards LAX. He's heading southbound towards runways 24 right and 24 left here on Pershing. If we could get a little farther west, we'll be able to get a better shot of this. Again, Pershing Drive here coming out of Playa del Rey, and then he'll be approaching Westchester Parkway. So let's see if he turns back to the east on Westchester Parkway and stays on the north side of the complex, or makes his way right underneath the runways, the takeoff points at LAX. It's a nice morning. It's dry out. The sun is out here. Weather's not a concern. This guy's going at a very slow pace. He's coming up on the intersection now, heading southbound on Pershing towards Westchester Parkway. Let's see if he makes that left turn or not. And it looks like he is going to continue in a southward direction. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a southbound shoreline approach at LAX so that we can stay with this.
They can get extra penalties when, in addition to the carjacking and all the other things that are adding up as we believe it's a he, is driving along. There's a felony reckless evading that they can be charged with.
Every light that he goes through. Mm-hmm. Everything he does, every infraction, every misdemeanor, and perhaps every felony, depending on what happens there. And they're keeping score.
Yeah. But felony reckless evading, it's an enhancement to any sort of sentencing. So, that judge is going to say, and you also get this. It costs the city a fortune, though, or the county, depending on who's chasing. It's a very expensive proposition to have the helicopters in pursuit, the cars in pursuit. It's taking officers off the streets of their normal beats.
All right,
and this street here, this is Pershing Drive, and we'll widen out a little bit. And this is another area that really nice community that used to have many homes. Now it's just a ghost of a neighborhood with these streets here, these sand hills with the chaparral here, right on the edge of Dockweiler State Beach. Those used to be occupied, those neighborhoods with many homes. But again, with the jet age, those homes were taken out. They're right on the edge. That's what we're talking about. That's the runway there. That's how close this is to LAX, right on the edge of the runways. And this is the far western side of the complex here, where they put a lot of those planes. You'll see one coming into view if there's not enough terminal space, or if there are a lot of flight cancellations because of East Coast weather. We see a lot of that here. So
hey, Rick, explain again about the rules with regard to you and the other helicopters. I'm assuming there's a whole gaggle of you guys up there. Explain the rules again when you're near the airport.
Essentially, we cannot get in anywhere near the takeoff and landing points at LAX. And we have 4 very busy runways. We have the 2 runways on the south side, runways 25 left and 25 right on the north side. We have 24 right and 24 left. And essentially, we only have a limited area that we can fly around the airport or transition through LAX airspace. And what we're doing, again, is we're making that midfield transition. So we're right over the terminal. We're right over Sepulveda and the arrival and departure areas, looking back towards the west. If we would have went that shoreline way, those hills would have obscured our view of the suspect. So what we're doing is winding back to the south side, the El Segundo side of LAX, and we're hoping to pick up the suspect.
And there's
here.
The picture, Rick, that puts it in perspective. What we just had. The ocean is right there. That's where we are. We are at the end of land here.
That's right, and the end of the runways, those very busy runways. We can't just be buzzing around at 500 feet on the edge of those two busy runways, the third busiest airport in the country, we're going to get into some serious trouble there. But hey, we're making our way around, and we're watching it now from the south side, from the El Segundo side, as he makes his way southbound on Pershing, just past runways 25 left and 25 right here.
And just a friendly reminder to anybody who is heading to LAX today for a flight, leave extra time, because this guy's been circling this whole area, and police are shutting down streets and going into intersections, and it's going to be a bit of a mess wherever this guy is.
You know, we often try to speculate, and it's speculation, about what's going on in the mind of the person who's driving this car. And usually you always have a sense of some panic, something frenetic going on. As we continue to watch this driver go, except for running a couple of lights, driving very slowly, driving relatively carefully. There doesn't seem to be a sense of panic about this at all. And you're hoping, as Rick suggested earlier, that this driver is in communication with somebody who is making this a better situation than a worse situation, sometimes even talking to authorities.
And he's going to take the coastal route. He's taking Imperial Highway. He's making his way west on Imperial, and that's where he will intersect Vista Del Mar, which is essentially the shoreline road right up against Dockweiler State Beach here at the edge of LAX. So making his way now in a westerly direction on Imperial Highway, and then he will have to make another decision. He'll either turn right and head north, back underneath the runways here at LAX, northbound on Vista Del Mar, or make his way south down towards El Segundo, El Porto, and the beach city. So we'll see what he does here. You see the famous sand dunes here at the edge of the airport that you see when you take off home to the El Segundo Butterfly in the chaparral there and those brush-covered hills. Here it is. That's Vista Del Mar right there. There's the parking lots at Dockweiler State Beach.
Yeah.
The beach there that so many people go down to enjoy with the bonfires there. And let's see what he does, east or west, or he'll go into the parking lot and go to the beach. Up. I was going to go west. Now he was going to go north. Now he's going to go south.
You know, that's the first bit of erratic driving he's done,
and uncertainty,
right? Yeah, that was the first bit of sort of erratic, what am I doing kind of moment for him.
Yeah, he saw some traffic up there, I think, and he thought better just to make his way to the south. So
because
southbound now on Vista Del Mar.
Otherwise, he seems to be, I mean, we've seen a lot of police pursuits where, you know, they're weaving all over the road and, you know, drugs or alcohol involved, whatever it may be. But like Steve said earlier, it's almost, you say the word polite.
Polite. It's a well-mannered police pursuit.
Right, a well-mannered pursuit. He seems to, you know, he's staying in his lane for the most part and not crossing into oncoming traffic, which is a good thing.
You know, one of the most overused figures of speech now is to stay in your lane in life.
Yes, well,
this guy is literally staying in his lane.
Pick your lane. Pick your lane.
Pick your lane. He's done that, yes. Again, he's going, you're saying about 30, 35. Even to us, it looks slower than that. But you have...
And this is the lighter volume side because a lot of people take the stretch of Vista Del Mar, which is also an extension of Highland through Manhattan Beach, northbound to avoid all that traffic on Sepulveda and the 405. So you'll see all the cars heading in the opposite
direction. What a tableau
direction.
right now. There are people on their bikes. There are people who are jogging. You got the volleyball nets up, and this is going on.
This should be in that Southern California postcard. You know, it's that Southern California ad that we...
Welcome to L.A. There you go.
LA,
and again, fortunately for this suspect, no traffic southbound during the morning rush here. And we're still officially Dockweiler State Beach, making our way down towards El Segundo. And once we reach El Segundo, he'll have an option to get on Grand Avenue, which is east-west, kind of their main street in El Segundo. If he continues south on Vista Del Mar, then he's going to head into the South Bay beach cities, El Porto, Manhattan Beach, Hermosa Beach, and then into Redondo.
Hey,
he's
Rick,
choosing the scenic view, though, this morning, Steve and Lisa.
So he's got a little bit of taste. Hey, Rick, I can't tell from these monitors, but can you get a better look at him as we're, like, can you tell if it is, you know, to confirm a male driving?
We have that tinted glass, don't you, Rick?
I can't.
Yeah,
is it
it's a male driver. We'll get it now. Now that he's clearing LAX, we're going to get a better look at this for the first time. Thankfully, hopefully he'll stay away from LAX for us.
And he looks
alone,
else to right? He doesn't look like he's got other people in the car, correct?
At this point, it doesn't appear so. Those windows, as you can see, are tinted, but we believe he is a male. Does look like a guy in there, and again, a carjacking suspect confirmed in an unincorporated area of LA County near South Los Angeles. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department picked it up and has been pursuing pursuing him as a lead agency. All right, we just saw one officer get in front of him, so let's see what's going to happen here. They may try to block him because the volume on this south side, as I mentioned, is so light. So now there may be some opportunity to bring this to
do a pit
halt.
maneuver. Or
now we have to watch, was he going to start to pick up speed?
He
It
is.
looks like he is a little bit.
Yes.
Because he feels that, all right, they're trying to be a little more aggressive with me. I don't want to get caught. I'm going to pick up speed here and make sure that I can continue
they
to
really
do what
have
I've been
to pick
doing
and
for the
choose
last
their
hour.
moment, don't they?
Now
You know,
driving on
Now
the
crossing.
line.
Okay, that was a close. That was a close. There we go. Our first close call. Opposing traffic. You could see that highway is very busy. Traffic zipping by here at 45, 50 miles an hour in the opposite direction. There's no center divide or medium either. You can cross over into lanes, and that would be a horrific situation. But we did see the one LA County Sheriff's deputy buzz up in advance, and perhaps what they're going to do, because I know this stretch, maybe they're going to try to offset, and there he is right there. Maybe that was a spike strip. Possibly they threw a spike strip there. That is a very distinct possibility. We'll see if there's any indication that his car has been disabled at this time.
Look, we were just saying
how that yellow line.
We were just saying we were just saying like, literally 5 minutes ago that he was driving in such a well-mannered way, and now he picked up speed. He feels threatened, right?
And if it was a spike strip, they sometimes work and sometimes don't work.
Sometimes don't. Right. That's exactly right. And we're unable to tell at this point. We're getting into a very busy area of the beach cities now. Through El Segundo, Manhattan Beach, El Porto, the street narrows. It turns into Highland from Vista Del Mar. And again, this guy is being pursued in a southbound direction, starting within the South Los Angeles area, an unincorporated area. He made his way westbound towards LAX, up into Westchester, into Playa del Rey, and now south into the South Bay area. And
Rick,
this stretch of Highland is very busy.
This is an area where you know every inch of every street.
I certainly do, and I'm sure a bunch of my friends are coming out to watch this.
Yeah, we're looking
is his
at
front tire
front left tire. Look at that.
Look at that. Is that getting flat? Or is it just
I'm
me?
sorry. Yeah, let's see. I'll get a better look at it on my monitor. It looks low, but this is kind of one of those low profile cars, so it's hard to determine. What I am seeing hanging above his sun visors looks like a bunch of perhaps placards or something there. I don't know what that is an indication.
That probably belong to the owner of the car that he carjacked. I mean, it could be
that's a
handicap parking, placard.
And we're still trying to find out some information. Look at how busy now this is downtown Manhattan Beach. Very busy. Eateries, people walking, going to their morning yoga class here in the beach cities. We call this the sandbox of the South Bay, a very affluent area of the South Bay, the beach cities. In fact, many entertainers and athletes call this beach city home. And it's very busy during the morning hours all day long. There's activity here in Manhattan Beach. And he continues southbound on Highland Avenue here in Manhattan Beach.
This is when it gets
lots
dangerous.
Lots of intersections, alleys, and if he picks up his speed, it will get into a more dangerous situation.
And also, it's just about 9 o'clock, which is peak time, of course, for traffic everywhere. Manhattan Beach is a relatively laid-back community, but there are a lot of people there and a lot of cars.
There certainly are. And now that we are officially in the city limits of Manhattan Beach, the Manhattan Beach Police Department, they're aware of the situation here, and they will likely be aiding in this, perhaps providing traffic control, maybe adding some additional. There you go, right there, into frame. That's a Manhattan Beach police officer guarding the intersections there. That's what happens. It turns into a mutual aid situation as these pursuits make their way into different jurisdictions, different cities. That often occurs. So they'll get the help, especially traffic control. And maybe some of these sheriff's deputies aren't familiar with the layout of these particular neighborhoods. They will get help from the jurisdictions as well, and that's exactly what's happening here. And he continues to make his way southbound. This alleged carjacking suspect on Highland Avenue, approaching now the Manhattan Beach Pier. And street lights and stop signs, people making their way across. There's another Manhattan Beach police officer there. So they're doing the best they can to protect the public.
There was.
They try the spike trip
I saw
again,
it. Didn't
right
work. Didn't work.
Did not work. So because he's moving at such a slow rate and he's been staying on, that's not a wise thing to do if you are out watching to get that close. So you really want to back off. You saw that one gentleman there getting awfully close into the street there. The situation is with these spike strips, because this guy is essentially staying on the same streets he gets comfortable with. We saw him for miles on Century. Then he made his way north through LAX, and then he took Manchester all the way to the sea, and then picked up Vista Del Mar, which turns into Highland, and he's been on that for several miles now. There you go. Looks like that Tesla pulling over to the right, doing what he should do when something like this comes up. We're at Highland now, right in the heart of downtown Manhattan Beach. In fact, the police department is just a block or so away from this intersection. And these intersections are very busy, parking on both sides, one way in both directions. Fortunately, he has slowed down a bit again.
So this is
and at this point, we're hoping that they're able to throw out another spike strip if he continues in this direction. We've been seeing the officers buzz to get up ahead of them. There's an LA County Sheriff's helicopter circling overhead, watching and relaying the important information. There's another officer there from the Manhattan Beach Police Department. It does not look like even the first spike strip was successful, because from our vantage point, it doesn't look like those tires have been disabled at this point. And that's one method. They could try to box them in. Especially in a situation like this, they could perhaps get an officer in front of him. But then you get into some danger. You don't know if he sees that patrol car up in advance, he could pick up speed and plow right into him.
And, Rick, I just want to say to our viewers who are just joining us, it is 9 o'clock, and this is Good Day LA. I'm Lisa McCree.
And I'm Steve Edwards. We've been following this mainly slow-speed pursuit, although it's changed a little bit, for quite a while. Right now it's in Manhattan Beach. Rick is up in Skyfox. And
there you go. Yeah, there you go. Another one right in front of them. So let's see what happens. Let's widen out a little bit. We'll keep the picture on, obviously, on the suspect, but we'll see where this. That's a sheriff's deputy. They're not a Manhattan Beach police officer, and he's making his way far to the south of where the pursuit actually is. And let's see if he positions himself and tries to do something. Now there's not much traffic on this stretch. This is a stretch between right on the border of Hermosa, Manhattan Beach, and the pier here. And this is where Highland T-bones here. So let's see what happens here.
Okay.
He chose to go left, so he's going to go.
He's going to go
left too, because maybe he's thinking that was a decoy. Like, why would you want to follow another officer? Well, maybe there was something waiting for him on the southbound or on the westbound side. And there's spike strip again. He hit that one. He definitely hit that one. Traveling now eastbound, coming off of Highland. So let's see if this did a number on the tires here.
This time. How many spike strips? That's 2 or 3?
Residential area. Yeah, 3. That was 3. First one, it didn't appear to work. Second one definitely didn't. That one looks like he hit it. But what we can't tell from up here is whether or not those spikes were actually aligned in such a way so that they were able to disable the tires. Now making his way into Hermosa Beach. So now we're into the second of the 3 beach cities. We have Redondo on the far south and Hermosa Beach, Manhattan Beach on the north. Made a stop there. And
it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell if they worked,
turn.
if he's driving on rims or not, because of the low profile of that vehicle.
Right, and he's actually stopping and going slowly, so it's hard to tell that way.
And I got to think he doesn't know which way he's going, because these streets here, some are one way. This is a real tight, windy neighborhood here in Hermosa Beach, right on the border of Manhattan Beach. Heading back now into Manhattan Beach in a northbound direction here. And there's officers all over this neighborhood. Fortunately, school is in session now, so all the kids are in the classroom, and there's not a lot of pedestrian traffic here.
And if you're wondering, if the viewers are wondering why, with all of those police vehicles surrounding him, they aren't going in and trying to do a pit maneuver or going alongside him. This guy could be armed. It was an carjacking, so he could be armed. It started at 68th and Central in South LA this morning. The sheriff picked up the pursuit from there.
The first thing they want to do is they want to disable this vehicle. They want him to stop. And then at that point, because, Lisa, as you pointed out, he could have a weapon, then he doesn't have his vehicle. So now they can negotiate with him and hopefully get him to just surrender, and it ends peacefully. But they know that he's not going to have a vehicle to make his way anywhere else. So their prime motive here, their prime goal is to disable the vehicle. And we've seen that with the spike strip attempt 3 times now. They've thrown that out. And unclear if that third one, he hit it. But again, whether or not those spikes actually really engaged with the tires, that's unclear at this time. Very popular area here, this Valley Ardmore area. There goes another LA County Sheriff's Patrol car in front of him. A lot of people run and walk.
We can't see his fuel gauge. We don't know if that becomes a problem for him.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. This, again, this is a very popular stretch of Manhattan Beach. It's Valley Drive and Ardmore. It's Ardmore if you're traveling northbound, which he is, but now he's going to make a left turn, and he may get on Valley here, which would take him back to the southbound side. So let's see what he does. It's only one way, so he's got to make a left turn here. And he's been driving the same pretty much since his pursuit started. It does not appear, just from the way the vehicle is moving, that there's been much in the way of damage to the tires.
And our Rick Dickard has been,
you've
been with this for a good half hour, more now, Rick? How long have you been following this guy?
Yeah, it's been quite some time, close to 45 minutes now, I believe, when we first picked this up right at the 105 and Century Boulevard. And this suspect, this carjacking suspect, made his way westbound on Century Boulevard all the way to LAX and then made a northbound turn to pick up Manchester. And then he made his way westbound on Manchester, through Westchester, through Playa del Rey, picked up Vista Del Mar, southbound on Vista Del Mar, picked up Highland from El Segundo into Manhattan Beach. Now he is on Valley Drive. Valley Drive runs to the south. It's a one-way. Ardmore on the other side runs to the north. And in between, there's a nice greenway, a path for runners and joggers on this beautiful March 1st morning. And there's a lot of activity there. And unbeknownst to a lot of those people, what's passing them? Perhaps a very dangerous individual who could be armed, who allegedly pulled off a carjacking. There's officers there, again, a mutual aid holding
judgment,
traffic.
Rick. It doesn't appear that the spike strips have been effective so far?
No, it does not look to be the case at all.
We saw the first one might have had some impact. The second one missed entirely. The third one looked like it might have scored, but apparently not.
It did. Yeah, we would have seen definitely some deflation of these tires, and we just have not seen that as of yet. It's difficult because, as you see, they have to get up ahead of the suspect, toss that strip out, and hope that that strip aligns perfectly, meaning the spikes are erect, and that the suspect engages with those spikes in such a way that those tires become hit, just
Rick,
deflated.
I've really appreciated your knowledge of all these local neighborhoods and parks and beaches as you've been doing this. Can you give us an idea now, though, sort of a larger overview?
We got a good look at him here.
Yeah.
Wait, there he is.
Finally, it looks like he rolled down the window there. He's got his arm out.
Did he toss something?
We could not tell. It didn't look like it. It looks like he's perhaps
maybe
engaging with people, looking to the left here.
It appears.
So definitely a male, a shaved head here, and you can see the tinted windows. We believe it's just the driver inside the car. And again, if you're just picking this up, an alleged carjacking suspect that we first heard of in the Southgate unincorporated area of LA County, and that's why the LA County Sheriff's Department is the lead agency on this pursuit. But getting help now by the Manhattan Beach Police Department, because we're in the heart of Manhattan Beach, and he's just making a nice stroll through the beach city on this, what's turning out to be a beautiful day here in Southern California.
A nice day to drive. The only problem is he stole the car, he carjacked it, he's violated several rules, regulations, and laws, and yet he's still going. If you knew nothing, right now, this looks like a casual guy out for a ride.
It does. But, you know, I've been watching this with you guys. It's me, Maria, here for the last 45 minutes. And this is the first time I've seen him roll down the window.
Yes, it is.
So this is the first time we're getting a look at him. And I feel like he may be getting a little agitated now at this point, perhaps. I don't know. But this is new.
Or did he throw something out the window?
It looked like, did you see
it? It did not look like it. No.
You're saying no. I thought it looked like a white
the
something
window.
came out.
He was pointing.